So the African Cup of Nations starts in 2024 on January the 13th, and it'll see massive players like Mo Salah, Sadio Mane, Victor Osimhen all travel over to the Ivory Coast to play, and it's a great tournament. However, there is always the thing that because it's a mid-season tournament, it affects teams all over Europe and internationally. So here are five teams that I think need to plan the most for the start of the African Cup of Nations. So let's get into it. So I'll start with just some honourable mentions that didn't make the top five. But one, I'm going to go with Chelsea because they are going to be missing mainly Nicholas Jackson up front, who just looks fantastic for them at the moment. Obviously they're going to have Nkunku back probably December, January, so it might fit in well for them. However, Chelsea have always just crying out for goals, and it looks like this lad might turn up with them this year. So as he's going to go be playing for Senegal, who are most likely going to qualify, then yeah, Chelsea are going to miss out. And the second honourable mention is going to be Tottenham. They are going to be losing Pape Sarr and Basuma for Mali and Sarr for Senegal. And I think it's just going to leave a massive gaping hole for them because both of them have been fantastic to start the season. Sarr's come in with some goals and assists, and Basuma just looks similar to his days at Brighton, really. And I think it's a tough one because obviously Sarr's going with Senegal and Basuma's going with Mali. Both teams will probably qualify. And with Postecoglou at the moment, he looks like their main men, so I think they're going to miss them massively. Plus, as speaking now, it's deadline day, Højbjerg might be leaving still. He's linked to Man United, linked to Fulham, I believe. So it could be short of some midfielders in January. So at number five, we are going to go with Man United. And they don't really have too many players. They have a few youth players. But with Onana leaving for Cameroon, I think it's a massive hole for United that did they consider? I'm sure they did. But it's kind of hilarious that they've been moaning about De Gea for a few years now. They finally buy a keeper and he's going to be gone a month or so in January. So I think that's going to massively affect them because, I'll be honest, I don't actually know who the second keeper is. Is it still Lee Grant, I think? Because Dean Henderson's just gone to Crystal Palace. So might be a tough one for Man United in January, but yeah, see how it goes. So at four, I'm going to go Crystal Palace. They're losing two lads to Ghana, Jeffrey Schlupp, who, game time is becoming less and less now. But Jordan Ayew, who is going to be a big miss for Crystal Palace, really, plays on that right winger. So I know when Elise does come back, his game time might be less. He might be put into the middle again. But he started the season all right, and he weighs in with 8 to 10 goals season, a few assists, and I think it'll be a big miss for Palace. But the biggest miss is going to be Cheick Doucouré because he's going to go away with Mali, and I mean Liverpool have been debating bidding 70 million for him, and Crystal Palace player of the season last year. So if it's in that tough time just post Christmas for Palace, they've had a lot of fixtures. They're going to need that depth, and unfortunately, Doucouré is probably going to be gone for a few weeks or so in January. So at three, I'm going to go West Ham, and they're missing three big lads for them. One is Benrahma to Algeria, two is Aguerd at Morocco, and three is the new lad, Mohamed Kudus, who they just signed from Ajax for Ghana. And Kudus might start, he might not, but the other two are massive stars for them, especially Aguerd, because him and Zuma seem to have a great partnership at the moment. And if they're losing all three of those, I think squad depth is a big issue for West Ham as well. And like I said, post-Christmas, there's a lot of games and you need those players. And unfortunately, all three will probably be gone over that month. So I think they're might need to get another centre-back in January or so. Attacking-wise, I think they might be okay because, they've still got Jarrod Bowen, they've still got Paqueta. They're just losing to City at the moment, and they've got some options up front. Antonio on the wing, maybe Danny Ings up front. However, I think that centre back position is going to be a tough one for them. So yeah, I'll go West Ham. At number two, and it just doesn't look like it's their year at the moment, but it's going to be Brentford. They've just lost out on Tony with the gambling ban. He was back in January, so it's not bad timing. He's going to come back basically when these two lads I'm going to say in a second go, but. Basically, Brentford are going to lose Visser and Bueno, who are pretty much two out of that free strike force, along with Kevin Schade. And they're also going to lose Onyeka, who good midfielder for them, Nigerian lad. And it's a tough one because if they have a few games without Tony, plus Tony's not allowed to train with the team, I believe, at the moment, so it's not like he's just going to get put back into the team straight away and just fly, like he did last year. He's going to need to get that rust off him. So without Vissa, who's just such a reliable player, and Bueno, it could be a tough month or so for Brentford, which, yeah, we'll see how it goes. And number one, which is going to be very worrying for them, as I've researched, they do have 7 African players in the squad. So if all of them go, it's going to be a big deficit, but it's going to be Nottingham Forest. They're losing Taiwo Anawini, they're losing Serge Aurier, they're losing Willy Bolly, and they're losing Ola Aina, just to name 4 decent ones for them. And they're massive players for them. Even Emmanuel Dennis is going to be leaving, and so that's a lot of the strike force. They've just pretty much sold Brennan Johnson as we're speaking now. I think medicals are getting done with Spurs, so should be pretty much over, especially by the time this video comes out. But especially the strikers, Anawini is just banging them in at the moment. He's looking fantastic. And Serge Aurier seems to turn a new leaf. I know he was decent last season as well, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't seem to be the Serge Aurier of old. He seems to be an excellent player for Forest. And if they lose him and Aina as well, who both play fullback positions, plus Willy Bolly, who's just a very reliable centre-back, then Forest might have a bit of trouble in that January period, as I think they'll probably stay up this season. But January, early February is going to be a massive test for Forest. And Steve Cooper, I'm sure there's alarm bells ringing already that they're going to have to prepare. They've just bought Callum Hudson-Odoi for, I think it's about 3 million, which is just fantastic business. And they've brought in a lot of new players, so I think they'll be okay on depth. I just think these players that are leaving are just massive for them. And I really think that Anawini could score 15 goals this season. He looks fantastic. He's played for Liverpool. And I think Aurier is going to be a massive miss for them. But yeah, that's just my 5 teams I think will struggle and will need to plan the most. There's obviously big players leaving as well, like Salah for Liverpool. However, I just think there's the depth up front for Liverpool to just keep it going for a month. And then you've got maybe Thomas Partey for Arsenal, which again will be a big miss. But if they can get Timber back in time, I think they should be able to solidify that defence. And I think the midfield's fine at the moment, as long as Declan Rice stays fit, which he normally does. But yeah, that's the end of the video. If you think any other player is going to be a big miss, let me know. Comment on the video. If you could leave a like, that'd be great. And if you could subscribe, fantastic. But yeah, see you next time.